there's a reason that people kind of might get annoyed and say, oh, these Trump people or the right wing right now is really focused on immigration and think that it's some kind of monomania. But yeah, a lot of these downstream consequences are things that people just take for granted as, okay, well, I guess things have to get worse in this way. It is amazing actually how many different things taking care of our immigration problem would solve.
Obviously, I'm not Tim Pool. I don't know what Matan did to him, but he's out today. So he looked to the bench. He called me up. I answered the call. I'm here. If you don't know me, I'm producer Tate Brown, producer here at Timcast. Pop on the shows every once in a while, but we're holding it down today. I see you. You're hovering over the X button. You're not giving me a chance. That's not right. That's not cool. You got to let me cook a little bit. I don't know if you guys saw this story. Cincinnati, there's this guy running around. It was like a GTA server. He was just like decking random people. It was unbelievable stuff. Elon's on it. 0 stories. It's true. There's nothing out there except for the Post-Millennial. They had a great story. Brutal mob attack in Cincinnati. So I wanted to bring in Wade to talk about this. You guys have probably seen this story, so I can set it up real quick. They're investigating a violent assault in the city's downtown area early Saturday morning where a man and a woman were attacked by a group, leaving the woman unconscious. The incident, captured in disturbing video, has gone viral. I'll just show you a quick vid. So they're just going around, just wailing on people for no reason. And this is happening over and over and over again. And Americans are really starting to get a little fed up with this because it's like nothing ever really happens. There's no reaction. So, yeah, I want to bring in Wade. He's probably got some. He's probably got the correct take. He tends to have the correct take. So, Wade, what's up? Can you hear me?
I can hear you. Yes.
Okay, cool.
Good to be here. Thank you, Tate.
Yeah. Before we get situated, do you want to give people a quick intro? Who you are, what you do?
Yeah, my name is Wade Stotts. Wade Stotts on X. I do the Wade Show with Wade. That's a weekly monologue sort of thing where I pick out something in the news and try to summarize it, try to do it in an entertaining way. I also do a podcast over on Canon Plus. So
cool.
That's my stuff.
Yeah, so we have this story out of Cincinnati. It's all over the place. You're seeing a mob just running through the town, whooping up on people that were otherwise minding their business. I mean, sometimes you see these videos and there's this pretense where there was like a disagreement or a fight. By all accounts, this looks like it was just an indiscriminate attack. I played the video, but I don't know. What's your takeaway on this whole story?
Yeah, anytime you see these videos, you try to, my news brain tries to immediately try to figure out the context, right? So we've seen, as a guy who's followed the news for years, we have seen violent altercations, we've seen arguments at sports games and tried to figure out, okay, what could have happened before this that would have made this make some sense or more sense? And the reason that this one has held on as hard as it has, yes, because of the lack of coverage, but also because it's really hard to imagine anything that, obviously nothing can make it make sense in a, it's not a good thing. Nothing could ever make this turn out to be good. But even to justify this kind of behavior or this kind of attack on these people, I think that one of the things that is so striking about this is that it's not just that people are watching this going, what happened in this particular scenario? What they're wondering is they're watching this going, trying to make a calculation, trying to think, okay, so if I go to the Cincinnati Jazz Festival, and let's say what happened was it sounded like there was some loud music playing, and let's say somebody said, "Hey, turn down that music. We're at a music festival. I'm trying to hear and hear." If that kind of altercation, you say the wrong thing, something gets off on the wrong foot. People are trying to make the calculation. That's why they want to know. Okay, am I going to get beaten or am I going to get filmed while beaten? It makes sense that people are going to wonder those things, especially because, again, it was treated in such a way that like everybody standing around just thought it was some kind of show that they were there to watch. And so it's not just people want to know the details or people want to figure out. It's not just a voyeuristic, I want to know what happened, but it's also people wanting to know, what can I do? How can I, treat my family well? If I want to take my wife to a jazz festival, is that going to be a bridge too far? Even if I say the wrong thing or if I drink too much and there's an altercation like that, is it going to maybe end my life in that sort of scenario? Yeah. There's, as you were talking in the opening, there's enough of a social trust problem in America without dumping all these illegal immigrants going on, and immigrants generally coming in. But the social trust thing is a real deal, and what people are trying to again calculate is how much can I count on. So this stuff can happen at the margins, right? So somebody can fly off the handle, knock somebody out, punch somebody, as long as there's a relatively healthy culture around that ugliness, then people will jump in to help.
Yeah.
People will jump in to stop it, slow it down. But if there's no, if you can't count on that, if you can't count on bystanders thinking, hey, this is now my responsibility to jump in, then yeah, it's an ugly thing. So I think that's why people are focused so much on this, and why people are, again, trying to find the logic, or if not find the logic, then find what are my responsibilities after seeing this.
Right. I mean, that's what kind of stuck out to me. It kind of encapsulates this feeling that a lot of Americans have, which is the streets are completely populated with a lot of people that have nothing to lose. And that's a very, very scary thing. And like you were hitting on, the social trust it's in the basement right now. It's a total disaster. Yeah. And there's also, it's unfortunate this is the case, but there is this racial element to it as well, where it's a group of black people assaulting white couples and families. That's always going to obviously animate the issue as well. What is I mean, I was covering earlier in the story. We have the immigration is totally out of control. Trump's finally, stifling it. Stephen Miller, Patriot, he's stifling the flow. And then you have this trade deal that Trump's trying to reel in. He's trying to, people have been cooking the books for a long time. So Trump's actually addressing these issues on trade. But we're making progress. But stuff like this, I don't really know how you fix at a federal level. It's a social trust issue, like you said. I mean, what have you identified? Is there a way out of this, or are we just going to descend into Brazil or South Africa?
Well, the good thing is that the local police have at least commented on this and said that it's a bad thing that it happened.
Right.
There's nobody in the administration or like local administration or anything like that, or even the statewide people none of them have said actually this was a brave thing that happened or a good thing, or no, everybody seems to be taking the right side, at least on the official capacity. So that's good, and I think that means that there's. It would be really bad if we were in a situation where everybody just automatically took the side of who they thought was, like racially the problem or with whatever, especially in the government capacity. So yeah, I don't know if there is a political solution on this stuff. Again, it's a social trust thing, and Russell Kirk said that Rome descended as Romans descended. So like there's this personal capacity to all of this, is the social trust that drives the political direction and drives a lot of whether something can hold together as a people, and you can't ignore the racial element. I think that would be, I think that part of it is also that you have to wonder, okay, so again, I'm making a calculation. Can I go to this festival? All right, am I going to encounter people there who think it's okay to beat me for a reason that doesn't have to do with let's say I have an altercation and somebody thinks it's okay to go above and beyond just okay, let's say I deserve to get my lights knocked out, right? I've done a terrible thing. Somebody punches me, and I deserved it. If somebody goes above and beyond what I deserve, then yeah, again, I have to think, okay, what's going on in their head? Why do they think that's okay? Like I said, I don't want to do anything. I don't want to say anything that necessarily would preclude me from serving on a jury, especially when this kind of thing just blows up and shows up in my face.
Sure.
But again, it's hard not to see all these angles and try to, again, get to the bottom of it so that I can adjust my own behavior.
Yeah. I mean, it's cool. I mean, there is malicious ignorance. Like you said, it's hard to ignore this element. Well, the other side's maliciously ignoring it. It was the deputy mayor came out and they were like, oh, it was a altercation between two adults. That was the official line. And you're sitting there like, I'm watching, like I said earlier, it's literally a GTA server come to life where some guy's just going around, I don't even know if he had a 5-star warning or, wanted level. I think he was just going at it. Maybe he had cheats enabled because I didn't see any police. Grim stuff. And I'm sitting there and I'm like, okay, it is true that the police are addressing it, this sort of thing, but I don't want to live in a country where there has to be police everywhere at all times for me to safely navigate, downtown Cincinnati. I mean, it's Cincinnati. Right. We're not talking about Baltimore or something. So that's kind of the thing. And if you're a young person, you're seeing this, you're seeing your downtowns off limits. And then I was hitting on it earlier. I wonder if you had any thoughts on this. Is the social trust, the immigration, especially the illegal immigration, is just dumping gasoline on the fire. I was talking earlier about the housing market crunch, and we're thinking if we can deport however many illegal immigrants that are here, the estimate's 14 million. It's probably higher. if we can free up that housing stock, I mean, do you think that people need to maybe feel a bit more like they have more skin in the game? Do you think that would maybe improve things from a social trust perspective?
I think so. I mean, there's really there's a reason that people kind of might get annoyed and say, "Oh, these Trump people or the right wing right now is really focused on immigration and think that it's some kind of monomania."
Yeah.
But yeah, a lot of these downstream consequences are things that people just take for granted as, okay, well, I guess things have to get worse in this way. It is amazing, actually, how many different things taking care of our immigration problem would solve.
Right.
So yes, I think like social trust would go a long way there. But and also like slowing down immigration, slowing down legal immigration, taking care of the illegals. I think that there's a certain level of I don't know who my neighbor is.
Right.
I don't know what is going on in their heads. I don't know how to calculate whether, again, if I get in a bad situation, whether somebody's going to help me out or if they're going to pile on. Which, I mean, I glanced past this earlier, but again, if you watch this guy filming this altercation between two adults, the guy who's filming is yelling, "Oh, oh, oh," and he
Right.
does that for like 3 minutes straight.
Yeah.
And only at one point, I think, to maybe make sure that his audience doesn't see him as a bad person, he says, "Help her up." But it's after this woman's laying on the ground unconscious.
Yeah.
It's a horrible thing. And so I go, okay, well, we watched the movie Nightcrawler, right? And so we watch Nightcrawler and we get disgusted at this kind of sleazy guy who tries to sell his clips to the news. But if that's everybody, or if that's at least like a large percentage of people who are going to be like treating their phones as their personal Nightcrawler machine and putting stuff on their like hoping they blow up because they got to witness somebody being beaten half to death, then yeah, again, that's something that I like. That's not a housing problem. And I think that, so there are elements of this social trust that can be repaired by federal actions. But yeah, there's a really ugly, but that's just jumping in on top of a really ugly social trust problem that already exists.
Right.
So I don't think that that's necessarily a political thing or a political solution. We can at least stop pouring gasoline on it.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, that's kind of the thing we're seeing with the world starification of fight documentation, where it's just like they're trying to develop a personal brand around someone, getting beaten half to death.
Yeah.
It's a horrible thing. And it's sad. That was the saddest part of the video, was that no one seemed to want to intervene. I don't know if it was fear or if it was just a lack of empathy. It's a social trust thing. I used to live in Queens, New York. It's like half foreign born, and this is praised routinely by all the civic leaders. They're like, this is this wonderful thing. You can have an arepa and then have like Chinese food on the same day. It's just, they only talk about the food really when it comes to diversity. They don't really talk about the downstream effects, because the downstream effect is like you hit on. If you don't know your neighbor, not only do you not know your neighbor, you don't know like how they evaluate the world. You don't know much about their culture, and the city, the borough at least, is filled to the brim, and it's like it's created this situation where no one speaks to each other, because this reputation of New Yorkers are really rude. I actually find that native New Yorkers are quite pleasant, but there is this general feeling of just disdain for strangers, because you just don't know anything about them. You don't know if they're going to stab you or what. You don't know if anybody's going to intervene. And I think a large reason is because you don't even know if the person speaks English, let alone if they're on the same page, ethically. So, yeah, I mean, that's kind of the thing for me, is like you said, it's like, why is the GOP hammering so hard on immigration? And I'm like, because these cities, you saw Los Angeles. I mean, the deportations haven't really even gotten to these insane numbers that we're expecting, and people are already coming unglued there and rioting and flying foreign flags, and I don't see how we're going to get out of that. I mean, Trump just has to keep the foot on the gas, and yeah, I don't know.
Yeah. Well, and I think part of the tragedy of it is that we had it and we lost it. So
Right.
in any place where there has been social trust that's eroded, then we're mourning it all the more. So we only notice it because we had it before. I mean, the whole sort of what's the sort of boxes where people will like set out their fruit or set out
the
whatever
honesty
potatoes that
boxes,
they're
yeah.
growing. Honesty boxes.
Yeah.
So like the fact that honesty boxes have existed and have had to be taken down, and some people are still are trying to put some up to try to, again, test out, hey, if this works out, then we can make more money and I don't have to hire somebody who just runs this stand all the time. Then everybody can kind of function in a better way. The fact that that can still exist in part of our country is really great.
Right.
But the fact that broadly that stuff starts to go away, that's the tragedy that Americans are seeing. There are some people who wouldn't notice it because they've never lived in a place that was like that had any kind of social trust. And again, like New Yorkers, I think probably have a few more barriers than me growing up in Northeast Arkansas. But I think that's, again, there are definite gradations of that. Carl Benjamin talked about when he visited from the UK and visited West Virginia, and he realized as he was talking to people, as he was interacting, that he had way more of a guard up than he should have, and was actually being rude to people. He found himself accidentally being rude, and he said, I'm a good English boy, I grew up with manners, I know what I'm supposed to do. But he realizes that as social trust has eroded around him within his lifetime, that he was treating people in a way that he would never treat them normally, and he felt bad about that, and he wished that he could go back and be more open. He sees himself as an open guy who has slowly had to kind of put walls up around himself as social trust has eroded around him. I think that's a sad thing to see, and I think that Carl sees that, but also we don't want that here. Again, he visited rural West Virginia. That's a different sort of place. But I'd like to be able to preserve that for people to not have to have their guard up. Again, going to a jazz festival, just going downtown, taking their wife out for a dinner. It's something that I think we can, again, as people are committing crimes, we can punish crime. And I think that if there's an attitude like that at the top, again, fixing things federally, that was the question you asked. If there's an attitude like that at the top, I think it gives permission for local officials to act in that same way and know that they're not going to get a mob after them.
Yeah. Yeah, you are seeing like Orange County, California, like they are able to start cracking down on shoplifting more. I think, like the primary reason for that is because they feel like the boot's off their neck from the federal government. So that's going to pay dividends because, you go to these cities and you go to like Walgreens and you got to like get on your knees and beg for a stick of deodorant because they have it like locked down like it's the most ridiculous thing ever. And then the people will come up, these shoplifters, they come with their garbage bag and they ring the bell and the guy will come unlock and give them the deodorant and then they just walk out with it. So it's like it's only punishing people that are actually just trying to shop. And then the craziest thing is the shoplifters still stink. So it's like they're not even using the deodorant. I don't know what they're doing with it. I don't know. Maybe they're eating it. I don't know what to think. Yeah. But
selling it out of their car. Who knows?
Yeah. I don't know. Maybe there's this underground deodorant ring I don't know about. I'm going to get involved in that. You can get a roll on for a good price. But yeah. So anyway, enough about the speed sticks. One thing I'm noticing is it's coming along where you're seeing Gen Z really becoming adults and interacting. We're lacking a lot of conventional social skills that previous generations had, and this is a huge topic that's going to be tough to cover in 15 minutes. But I do think we're very neurotic. Zoomers, Gen Z. I'm a Zoomer. I'm 24. I think we're a very neurotic generation, and I think it's kind of obvious. This does stem from the fact that you don't know who your neighbors are. You don't know anybody in your community. You don't know who your elected officials are. There's the low trust society has completely one-shotted Zoomers. What do you think this is going to look like? Because boomers are still generally pretty trusting of the general public. They typically give people a fair shake, and then this kind of this quality kind of disappears as you go down generations. Where I think Gen Z is the first generation where this is completely gone, where they're just neurotic, distrustful, honestly, rightfully so as well. What do you think? What changes do you think we're going to see as this generation sort of starts taking hold?
Yeah, I think another big piece of this, before I talk about the changes going forward, is the fact that 2 years at least of a lot of people's lives got taken away.
Yeah.
And so the closer to the formation of your personality that 2020 and 2021 and 2022 was, that has a huge impact on you. So if you were planning, if your graduation, let's say your like high school graduation got shut down because of this, and all of your scholarship opportunities got ruined because of a disease, that automatically puts a huge lack of social trust in you and goes, okay, well, everything I prepared for, everything that somebody told me was going to be my ticket out of here is not going to be there.
Yeah.
And not that Zoomers needed any help with that, because again, like I think that broadly millennials trusted the promises of the boomers, that the boomers
Right.
thought that they were like, okay, now we have attained, like, this is the end of history. This is the way the world is going to work forever. Millennials kind of believe those promises, and Gen Z hasn't believed those promises at the same level. But starting out from cynicism, yeah, it's a really ugly thing. And I don't see, yeah, I think that there will be studies 100 years from now on the COVID kids
Yeah.
and all the people who, and that's, Gen Z onto Gen Alpha, and where people were when that broke up their ability to speak or be able to see somebody's mouth move when they're speaking,
Right.
when people's
Yeah.
faces are covered constantly, social interaction again. But there was a broad culture, growing up as a millennial. There's a broad culture of going out, seeing people, doing things, and like concert venues have been shutting down. Like Ticketmaster, again, people talk about Ticketmaster prices going up. Also, there's a huge piece of that is that nobody really wants to go to concerts anymore,
Yeah.
except for the uber wealthy
Yeah.
or the people who can afford like paying these exorbitant prices.
Hmm.
There's a really strange and like, okay, well, if my dopamine hits are from a crowd, I at least know what it feels like to go and be a part of a crowd and have a good time, be at a 4th of July parade and let it go. And somebody doesn't know that that's its own kind of rush and its own kind of excitement, then introducing that is saying you have to get past a lot of discomfort to be able to do something that, again, Americans have seen as normal for a long time. So I don't think, I think that part of that is going to be people just taking responsibility for their own self. But broadly, as far as a pattern goes, I don't see that going really anywhere great. It's going to be really ugly when people are having to have relationships with people when their first relationship or their second relationship or when was with an AI or
Yeah.
if they've had some kind of back and forth discussions with AI.
Yeah.
And again, there are people who are trying to do it right, but they're fighting a huge uphill battle, and I feel for that. But I think, again, we both think that Trump is going to do good things that will have a positive impact on that. But it can't. It's the kind of thing that can't just be from the top to make it a comfortable environment for that to happen. Taking responsibility and going, hey, again, this sounds like a bootstrap sort of thing, but going like, hey, I also have to meet the standard now.
Yeah.
So it's not like,
Yeah.
nobody's going to come chase me. Like Trump isn't going to walk over and hand me the deed to a house. There's something that I've got to do as well. So I'm all for everything that can be done at a federal level and at a government level. The cultural problems, yeah, Gen Z's been treated extremely poorly. But I hope that as they're, again, aging into adulthood and trying to make those first few big steps, that yes, they have a comfortable environment for that, but also that they see, all right, no matter what, this is going to be a huge challenge, and see that as something that's worth meeting.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I am finally starting to see some signs of life from Zoomers. Like, I mean, my freshman year of college was when COVID hit. So
Okay.
the time of my life when I guess matriculation should have occurred was virtually. It was with masks on if I was lucky, but typically it was virtually. So it was like everyone from from my age and younger has been this generation, because you're seeing the divide. So there was I think it was Gallup had the polling. There was actually like 2 Gen Zs as the 24 and up, so my age and older, and then my age and younger, those 2 generations. And you see it politically, where the Zoomers that are like born basically before 2000, they're actually kind of in line with millennials politically speaking, with a myriad of other traits. And then the Zoomers that were born after 2000 are to the right of Genghis Khan or to the left of Karl Marx. So you're seeing that, and it's like you said, I think it's that cynicism that came into play during COVID, where it's like, okay, I don't know where I am politically. I just know whatever this is needs to be destroyed. And unfortunately, a lot of people are running to the left as well to address that issue. But yeah, it does freak me out, but I'm starting to see some signs of life. Like in my friend circles, at least. I mean, I come from a religious community, so there's a lot of Southern Baptists, but they're getting married, they're having kids. It's starting to happen. There are some signs of life, but it's anecdotes. If you look at the general numbers, things aren't looking too hot. There's a lot of struggle. It's this interesting thing when the baby boomers die off. right? Because you're seeing like stories of how there's a power plant, there's a power plant somewhere, and it's being propped up almost entirely by like 3 baby boomers. So the baby boomers get a lot of flack for a lot of things, and a lot of it's pretty fair. But one thing that does need to be said is what's going to happen when they die to a lot of these institutions that are like solely propped up by baby boomers. I mean, it's a really, really horrifying thought. I mean, I don't know if you've thought about this much.
Yeah, the boomer succession problem is a big deal, and I think that's. I mean, I saw a chart the other day that was like the percentage of congressmen or Congress human beings who are above the age of 70 has just skyrocketed, and like we're seeing something that again people aren't getting these things passed down to them. It's also striking. I mean, you look at even on our side, you see, well, you've got Trump, who is a boomer, and then who's his successor? You got. You got JD Vance, or at least like that's how people see him as a successor. And so like there are a whole generation, like the Gen X at some level got skipped in terms of being able to pass things down. And so when the boomer generation is having to pass things down, broadly speaking, it's skipping a generation and is only happening when it has to. Which I think is not good for Gen X and not good for the millennials who end up just getting handed this stuff maybe before they're ready. Who knows? I mean, I hope that like I love JD Vance. I'll sign on for whatever he has coming up. But the fact that leadership has had to skip a generation is not a good thing. But my hope is again that all these people will get on board and recognize, hey, it's it is interesting, that the cynical generations, that's the generation that gets skipped for power. So Gen X being the cynical generation doesn't get a president, at least as far as we can tell. It's a problem generally, but there are places where it's happening. And again, I'm also in a religious community, and the passing of the torch is happening at a different rate and in a different way. Because people recognize again, like the people coming after have to be equipped. I don't see I don't see a broad solution to that other than people who have these institutions being able to pass down before they're forced to, is something that can be done. But it's difficult. Like the succession is inherently difficult. If you've done something that you're proud of, if you've done something that you think is really great, being able to hand that off to anybody is a daunting task. And so broadly, the boomer generation didn't do that. But my hope is that we can get better at that, because we're going to be in a way better place broadly.
Yeah. I mean, that's good. And that's a great point. I mean, Gen X really got shafted because well, that's kind of their fault though, because every song they wrote like in the 80s and 90s was about like fighting and partying and stuff. So like fight for your right to party. I don't know. Maybe you should have fought for your right for like elections. I don't know, I'm spitballing, but it's really, really sad stuff. They're just really into Nickelback and like Corvettes and stuff, and they forgot to like run for office. So I don't know. It's kind of on them. No, but it's true. I'm sorry. I love Gen X. I have Gen X parents. They're awesome. But the boomer thing, the generational passing of the torch. It's really scary stuff, imagining Zoomers being in charge of these things.
Well, being a millennial, I'm scared of millennials getting in charge of this stuff. I mean,
oh, dude,
if I don't, we're going to be like Star Wars memeing.
Yeah, it's so gross. Freaking tofu, like mandatory tofu. I'm not ready for that. But I don't know. JD Vance. If
JD Vance is remembered as our guy, like the head of the millennials, then I think we're going to be okay.
Yeah, you're set. Yeah. I mean, millennials, they kind of get a hard time, but there's some pretty based millennials. I think Stephen Miller is a millennial too.
Okay.
I think.
Love Stephen Miller.
Yeah, he's goated. So I don't know the way I do agree. Like you are seeing anecdotally in some of these circles that things are moving as you would expect them to, like, over the grand course of history. And Tim actually talks about this a lot, is this will actually play into the hands of the birth rate dropping, will actually play into the hands of conservatives, because they're the ones that are having children and, raising these children up, and they will also be conservatives and Christians, presumably. So I think there actually is a situation where we'll have some growing pains for like 20, 30 years, but right now they're infants, they're in diapers, but the people right now that are under 10 years old, it's probably actually a pretty conservative generation. Even with the waves of immigration, there's just you're seeing these conservative families and they're popping out kids like like Pez dispensers. So it's a really beautiful thing.
Yeah. Well, and yeah, that's the Dana White point where he talked about like if you the kids are going to be if you're at any level a monster, if you're like competent at anything, you're going to way outshine the sort of iPad kids, and you're going to be leading the world. If you have any capability, if you can speak in front of people, and if you can think through things clearly, you're an alien to most of your generation.
Yeah, if you like don't have an interest in buying a Labubu, or I guess in your case a Funko Pop, then like you probably have a decent chance of being in the next admin. So that's a good, it's a good.
Go for it.
Yeah. I don't know. I kind of want to leave you with the Trump agenda. People are starting to blackpill a little bit. The Epstein stuff's really getting to people. How are you feeling with Trump? Do you have any serious gripes? I mean, what's your general assessment so far? What's your grade?
Yeah, on the Epstein stuff, I think that the rollout was not as good as it could have been. Again, from my perspective, from the outside, but I think that recognizing that the RussiaGate thing is a bigger dragon, I think is a good thing for them to see. Mm-hmm. So I think, like I said, the Epstein rollout I think could have been improved. I have my complaints about that, but I'm glad that if it's a deep state thing, if the question is Trump addressing the deep state problems, something that the news, that every single news organization was forced to talk about for 2 years at least, is something that we should also see as a big deal. And it's personal to Trump. It's obviously closer to his heart. So I recognize that there are things again that I would do differently, but that's me. I'm just a guy in a bunker in Idaho. But I think that, I'm extremely pleased. I love the direction. I think that a lot of the fact that the left is as upset as they are is great. Yeah. And I think that Trump should just see that as a permission slip to do more, because if they're going to give him 110% every single, like if they do one deportation, then, hey, why not do 100,000? So, and I also recognize, hey, there's a huge jump going from 0 deportations, which is what we're seeing, to going to thousands of deportations, which I think that's a positive thing. I think self-deportations can be a big deal. A lot of my answers are going to be about immigration, because that's, again, I see that is a huge, having huge downstream consequences. But I'm pleased with that. I think that as they stay, we talked about Stephen Miller, as they stay on that train, as they stay on that thing, I think they're going to be okay. There are plenty of since January 20th, there has been constant prediction of the end of MAGA and the end of Trump, and it's finally time to end. This is all going to explode. And one of those things was the tariffs. And people said, the tariffs are going to blow up MAGA. Elon jumping ship is going to blow up MAGA. I haven't seen that happen, and I don't think that it's going to. So I'm much more of a plan truster this time around than I was back in 2016 and on. But I was a plan truster at that point, but I still have my doubts. But President Trump, loyalty to President Donald Trump is number one.
That dude. Well, this is great, Wade. Do you want to give a quick shout out? We gotta wrap up here, but quick shout out to anything.
Follow me on at Wade Stotts on X, and we'll have a good time.
Dude, let's do it. Well, appreciate it, Wade. Talk to you later.
Thank you.
Alrighty, gents and gentlewomen's, thanks for joining me on the Tim Pool noon live Rumble show. That's a great time. I think we're gonna do a raid here. I think we're raiding. Are we raiding? I think Russell Brand, I believe, is up next. I probably should have done my homework on that. Apologies, everyone. So thanks to Wade. It's a great show. We got a lot covered. Hit a lot of topics. We're gonna leave you with that. We got some just MAGA patriots all in chat. I love looking at chat and just seeing all these patriots. So we're getting that raid ready to go. Buy tickets for Culture War. That's the pressing thing. August 2nd, August 9th, get your tickets. It's gonna be baller. So we're sending you over to Russell right now. Let's see, raid, bang, look at that. Dude, we got producer Andrew in the cut. Shout out producer Andrew. Go give him a follow. It's kind of making me mad that he doesn't have like 1 million followers. It actually makes me furious. So thanks for watching. You can follow me on X and Instagram at Real Tate Brown. Go follow me there. Hopefully Tim will be back for Timcast IRL. If not, maybe it'll be Philcast. Who knows? But it's gonna be a great thing. So thanks for hanging out. See you next time.